It started with something so small I almost ignored it. A faint wave of nausea, the kind you blame on rich food or mild fatigue. Dinner had been unremarkable, polite conversation, routine observations about work, nothing sharp enough to leave a mark. My husband even seemed unusually attentive, asking if I wanted tea, if the room felt too warm. By the time we stood up from the table, the discomfort had grown heavier. Not pain exactly, but a strange internal instability, as if my body had quietly begun disagreeing with itself. "I don't feel right," I said. He turned immediately, concern arriving with practiced ease. "Hey," he said softly, hand already at my back. "Hang on, sweetheart." The familiarity of the gesture steadied me more than it should have. "I'm taking you to the hospital." There are moments when trust functions like reflex. You don't evaluate, you comply. The drive began normally. Streetlights, traffic, the soft mechanical rhythm of the city at night. I leaned back against the seat, focusing on breathing, trying to suppress the growing dizziness pressing behind my eyes. "You okay?" he asked gently. "I think so." But something was wrong with the route. Not dramatically wrong, just unfamiliar. A turn I didn't recognize. Then another. The city lights thinned. The road widened, then emptied. I straightened slightly. "Why are we going this way?" "Less traffic," he said calmly. His voice hadn't changed. That was the unsettling part. No tension, no strain. Just the same warm steadiness he used when discussing groceries or weekend plans. My stomach tightened. The nausea sharpened into something colder. Not physical, instinctive. The highway disappeared behind us. The car slowed along a narrow, poorly lit road bordered by dark, indistinct land. No buildings, no lights, no movement. The engine idled. For a few seconds neither of us spoke. Then he exhaled, not anxiously but almost with relief. And smiled. It wasn't a cruel smile. Which somehow made it worse. "I poisoned you." The words entered the air without force. Without emotion. As if he were stating an observation rather than detonating reality. My brain rejected the sentence instantly. A reflexive misfire. "What?" "You have about 30 minutes. He looked ahead at the empty road, expression thoughtful, mildly analytical. "Maybe less." The dizziness surged violently. Not from the toxin, though later they would confirm there had indeed been one, but from the sudden collapse of every stabilizing assumption my mind relied upon. This was my husband, my partner, the person currently controlling the car. "You're joking," I whispered. He turned toward me, almost kindly. "I'm not." There are moments when fear does not arrive as panic. It arrives as fragmentation. Thoughts breaking apart mid-formation. Memories flickering uselessly. My hands felt distant, disconnected from intention. "Why?" I asked. Even then, some part of me still searched for logic, for narrative coherence. He shrugged slightly. "It's simpler, simpler." The word echoed strangely in my head, absurd and devastating in equal measure. He unlocked the doors. "Get out." My body didn't move. Not from defiance. From shock-induced paralysis, the mind lagging behind the catastrophic redefinition of reality. Then headlights exploded across the darkness. Fast, aggressive. A black SUV slammed onto the brakes beside us, tires screaming against asphalt. For a split second, my husband froze. Confusion, raw, unfiltered, cutting through his composure. Two doors opened almost simultaneously. "Ma'am, stay in the vehicle." The voice was sharp, authoritative, unmistakably real. Everything accelerated. Commands, movement. My husband shouting something incoherent. Hands pulling my door wider. The world blurred into fractured impressions, reflective badges, controlled urgency, the firm procedural grip of strangers operating inside a framework I did not yet understand. I remember being lifted, not dramatically, efficiently, then oxygen. Voices layered with clinical calm. "You're safe, safe." The word felt abstract, detached from meaning. Later, much later, the pieces assembled into something resembling explanation. A toxicology alert triggered by a substance already under monitoring. A flagged purchase. A chain of institutional responses moving faster than my personal catastrophe. Systems I had never known existed quietly intersecting with my private life at the exact moment it ruptured. He had been under investigation, not for this, but for something adjacent enough to create visibility. What saved me was not intuition, not heroism, but overlap, procedural coincidence. In the hospital, clarity arrived slowly, not relief, not rage, but a hollow, disorienting recalibration. Because survival does not automatically restore emotional equilibrium. Trust, once fractured at that depth, does not reassemble cleanly. People asked predictable questions. Did you suspect anything? Were there signs? There are always signs. But signs are meaningless without context, without permission to interpret them as threat rather than misunderstanding. The marriage ended quietly. Not explosively. A relationship collapse documented in paperwork rather than arguments. Sometimes, late at night, I replay the sequence not with terror but with a strange, clinical detachment. The dinner, the drive, the smile, the headlights, and beneath it all, one unsettling realization. Resilience rarely feels like strength in the moment. It feels like adaptation forced into existence by a reality you never imagined you would need to survive.